welcome to the Infinity Bros podcast, the only podcast that is perfectly balanced as all things should be. With me, I have a few of the Infinity Bros and a very, very special guest. Number one Infinity Bro I have with me, Zayne. It's becoming a tradition that I don't introduce you last on the Infinity Bros podcast. So here you are, Infinity Bro Zayne Ellis.
Yeah, it's a good tradition to have. I'm just rising up the ranks. Number one in people's heads and in their hearts. So.
And in their hearts. And we can continue to confound Max and frustrate him as he edits these episodes. So that's all we're really going for on this podcast, is to make Mad Max a reality. Number two Infinity Bro I have with me is none other than Mark Jones. Mark, welcome and congratulations on a new baby. Man, it's been a while since we've had you on the podcast, and we are so excited to have you back.
Yeah, it's been like months. It's been a whole quarter of the year. Seems like
it's crazy, dude.
Yeah, I'm a new dad to a beautiful baby girl named Maggie Salome Jones.
Oh.
And I have a great wife who is beautiful, and her name is Kelly, and she's amazing.
Also yes.
I'm also glad that we're doing an episode without Max, so then anything I say, he has to listen and then has to decide whether or not to edit it out of spite or for reality. So, it's all good.
Also a good point. And last, but certainly not least, we have not just any Christian nerd, but the Christian nerd, Scott Higa.
Hello, Infinity Bros universe. Thank you for having me back a scant 2 years after my first appearance. I'm very grateful that I spent all that time watching you guys on Twitch, and I redeemed my 100,000 bits, and here I am sitting with three of my favorite Infinity Bros.
That is how Scott is here. Is he watched so much Infinity Bros on Twitch that he redeemed a 100,000 points, which I mean is like, I feel like that's near impossible unless you're constantly like watching us on Twitch.
I don't do anything else but watch you guys on Twitch. I mean, my marriage is falling apart. My children don't recognize me anymore. But gosh dang it, it's been worth it because I'm here with you three beautiful
Exactly. Men. It was all worth it in the end. So
I think my wife's literally leaving right now. But I'm like, sorry, honey, I can't see you out the door because I've got to record with three bearded white dudes from the Midwest.
We just see in the background of Scott's camera, his wife just has like bags. She's just like going through going in the bags in the background,
tearing up the room, throwing stuff around.
See my children, they're crying. I'm like, stop it! Zane's saying something funny. It's perfect.
But we are very thankful to have our good podcasting friend Scott Higa on the podcast with us. So, and we also are very excited to talk about Many Worlds Tavern, which is our new sponsor that we have on the Infinity Bros podcast.
I'm very proud of you guys for pulling this together, for having somebody actually give you money to do this. I've been trying for literally a decade and it just hasn't happened. So I'm really, really proud that you have your sponsor for your
Thanks,
coffee.
Scott. And you know what, Scott? You know what you should do? You should go to manyworldstavern.com/theinfinitybros so you can order some of that coffee for yourself and just try it out and see what you think of it.
Worlds Tavern.
Yeah. I will say I got the great old one, the dark roast, because I love anything dark roast, and it is fantastic. It is, and it comes like, okay, and Scott, you'll appreciate this. Magic players will appreciate this. They come with like a little card that like kind of describes the coffee, but they literally incorporate that as like tokens for Magic the Gathering. So like they have like specific things on the card that you can put in place as a token in your Magic the Gathering game, which Jared and Robbie, our Magic guys, are not here to talk about, unfortunately. I sound like a noob talking about it probably because I have very basic Magic knowledge. So, Scott, you're probably the front runner when it comes to Magic knowledge on this podcast right now.
I always like it when I play with somebody and like, I want to put out 3 trees for this goblin, and then you just mock them, and then they leave the table crying.
That would probably be me. So
yeah, no, you should definitely go to manyworldstaverns.com/theinfinitybros and you should buy some coffee from these people. You could get the delicious Homely Course, which is a comfort blend, the Dragon's Nest, which is an adventurous brew, the Great Old One that Isaac just mentioned, or if you're like Mark and you just need to get some sleep, you can go with the Electric Sheep, which is decaffeinated, and you can fall asleep while your beautiful daughter and your beautiful wife sleep next to you. And Mark just holds that warm cup of decaf coffee and think, I finally made it. This is the life that was promised to me.
I mean, you can put melatonin in it if you really want to. Like that's addition, but you know. Anyways, yeah, miniworldstavern.com/the Infinity Bros. Make sure you guys go check that out to get yourself a wonderful cup of gaming Joe. Anyways, for those of you guys who are new listeners on the Infinity Bros podcast, we are a group of 6 guys who talk about all things pop culture, which tonight we'll be talking about Obi Wan Kenobi, the Star Wars series that just dropped today. Well, technically yesterday in certain parts of the United States. But
heck yeah, it did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That was great. Got to watch it at 9 o'clock at night. Actually, it started at like 8:53 p.m.
Which is actually
California.
kind of the reason you're here, right, Scott? Because like you mentioned to me earlier this week, is like I'm not watching Obi-Wan until Saturday, and then
No, I was gonna,
and then
it was gonna be Friday night
it.
when you were recording because I was going to watch it with my beautiful wife. But then when I saw the tweet says, hey, it's on at 9 o'clock, I'm like, hey, Alicia, you want to stay up till 10:30? And we did. And we watched Obi-Wan, and it was great.
Yeah, surprise announcement.
Hashtag spoilers for my rating and review.
Obi-Wan dropped early, and everybody was happy about it. So it was a good time. So and now Scott's here, and we're happy about it too. Well, guys, before I get too far, I do want to also mention that we have a very specific rating system on the Infinity Bros podcast that Scott often berates us for, actually.
I don't berate the system. I berate your implementation of the system. A 1 to 6 rating is fine. The fact that you put in as many decimal points as you want is what I have. I take umbrage with that.
To be fair, we started doing that more often because you got mad about it. So
I legitimately only incorporate decimals because of Scott.
And there might be decimals only because Scott's on this episode.
maybe. You'll never know. But anyways, we're going to plug that bumper right here as to how we rate things.
Here on the Infinity Bros podcast, everything is ranked from a 0 to 6 point scale. 0 meaning horrible, and 6 meaning absolutely excellent. If all of the Infinity Bros rank something a 6, it gets an Infinity Step.
So Max just puts all these things in here and just like edits it and like
just
decide,
throws it in
like
there.
he could like he could like delete
sometimes he
Mark from
misses
here.
it.
Oh yeah, he deletes Mark a lot.
I've been deleted.
He censors
Like,
Mark
Scott,
all the time.
I wish we had unrated episodes because there's some juicy stuff in there.
Juicy stuff.
I would become a patron to have unedited Mark Jones in my life.
Well,
So just put it
Max
out.
is
an idea.
taking that away from you.
Max likes to be a
Max's fault.
tease.
He is a big tease.
They don't call him Max T's Mosher for nothing.
Can't wait for that to be edited out.
Sorry, that joke didn't make the cutting floor.
That's not making the cutting floor for sure. And we are also going to be spoiling the heck out of the first 2 episodes of Obi Wan Kenobi. If you haven't watched those by now, you should definitely go do that. Hit this pause on this podcast. Make sure you like and follow and subscribe. Go back, watch those episodes, and then you can come back and listen to our full spoiler cast. But first, we wanted to welcome Scott, because the first time you were on our podcast, Scott, our Infinity Gauntlet segment did not exist. So we are officially putting you through the Infinity Gauntlet today on the Infinity Bros podcast.
Are you a heel or a baby face? If you could make any flavor Cheez-It, what would it be? Is it pronounced Grogu or Groku? If Keanu Reeves isn't in the movie, can it be star-studded? It's time for the Infinity Gauntlet, here on the Infinity Bros podcast.
I'm not prepared, but I brought Thanos with me, so we're ready to go.
So you are prepared, actually, is what you're saying. Okay. So anyways, the Infinity Gauntlet is a segment that we get to know our guests a little bit. We put them through a gauntlet of questions from each Infinity Bro, and we'll see if Scott comes out the end of it and is able to finish the rest of this episode. We haven't kicked anybody off of the podcast yet, but you may be
If
the
there were
first
going
one,
to be a
Scott.
time, now would be it.
It might be. So anyways, Zane, why don't you go ahead and fire your first question at Scott?
We're starting with something fun here. You're a mad scientist. What specific scientific experiment would you run if money and ethics weren't an issue?
I would want to. Wow, I just thought about something. I don't know. Well, I would like try to figure out like a way you could like chemically castrate a man, like just for funsies, just like super reversible, super easy. And there's a lot of things going on in the world right now.
Wow.
I feel
Okay.
like we could solve a lot if we just figured that out. Like take this pill, no babies. Take this other pill, babies. There we go. Like what 13-year-old boy wouldn't sign up for that?
True. That's
They're very logical.
You drive a hard bargain there, honestly.
So if I could figure out a pill that could, it's basically like vasectomy by a pill, you know,
By a
and then
pill.
reverse it. So
you
not
don't
like
have
the
to go
Michael
through the
Scott
procedure.
snip, snap, you know, just
So,
you know, just figure out
exactly.
an easy way to do that. Might solve a lot of ills in our world.
Or you could make it like a cream you put on your arm, and then you call it sunblock.
Right just on your arm.
Zane just pulling out the dad jokes over here. Zane, you're the only one on this podcast that's not a dad, man.
Yeah, but I gotta be ready, okay? I gotta test the material now.
Good call. You are going to be very ready when you become a dad. So, anyways, this
You will not be ready.
is
Not at all.
this is from Infinity Bro Max. We're getting real deep now. Would you prefer tapeworms in your eyes or leeches on your eyelids?
Tapeworms in my eyes, or I would say leeches on my eyelids, because I feel like I could pull those off much easier. I mean, I've put contacts lenses in my eyes for the past 25 years, but even then, I don't know if I could, like, sometimes I have trouble pulling it out. So I imagine just a leech on my eye. And I have very like small eyelids, being as I am of Japanese descent. So there's not a lot of real estate for a leech to be on there.
And trick, all you got to do to get leeches off is just throw a little salt on there and they curl up and come off anyway. So like,
You know
it's
this
not really
why.
that difficult. Because we have leeches and lakes in Minnesota, Scott.
That's
You
right.
never went into a lake and got leeches on
Water.
yourself?
You guys have water.
We do have water.
that's-
Yeah, we actually have a lot of water. It's just
That's
not the
big
ocean.
difference. we don't have any. It's very sad, actually.
And you don't have to import it from the Hoover Dam.
Yeah, they don't have any either. Literally, Lake Mead.
Yeah.
Lake Mead in Nevada is so low they're finding bodies like that have been in there for decades.
Woof.
It's really bad, guys. Please send us some water.
Yikes.
They should send that water from the melting glaciers in Alaska. They should harvest that.
Here we go.
That's a real thing.
I know we should.
That's just pouring right into the ocean. Getting political here. Or I don't know if that's political.
It's a fact.
Yeah, whatever.
I guess
Maybe it
no
will be
fact.
soon.
Next question.
Facts are political. That's the unfortunate thing.
Yeah.
All right. Next one is from Jarrett. This is a fun one. You have to spend a month, speaking of the Alaskan wilderness, you have to spend a month in the wilderness of northern Alaska with one Infinity Bro with no internet. Who do you bring?
I feel like Robbie would be a good, like Robbie. I mean, I've seen him posting videos of him working out. So I feel like maybe he has the physical capability to survive. So I would say Robbie. And we've spent a lot of time together over the internet. It'd be nice to spend some time together face to face, you know, have some real conversations about why he's so bad at Fortnite and why he's not playing Valheim anymore. All he wants to do is play Magic the Gathering. Come on, Robbie.
Robbie is definitely probably the beefiest and strongest Infinity Bro. But I would say his survival skills are probably on the lower side.
Yeah, of the six of you,
Infinity
who has
Bros
the
list,
highest
so-
survival skills?
Honestly, I thought about this because we've all spent that 4 days in that ice shack up in northern Minnesota. I'm going Zane. Zane's my guy I'm picking.
I would pick Zane too. He's got the most like practical, like zombie apocalypse surviving skills.
All right, I changed my mind.
That we
I'm
would
taking
need
Zane.
in that situation.
And if anything, if anything, I'll just
just for the
I'll
survival
cuddle
skills,
underneath his beard.
not even
and
for
I'll
the
stay nice and
entertainment.
warm with-
This
What
is
about
true.
the
I will
entertainment
keep you
portion?
warm.
Zane is a very cuddly person, so yeah, he'll keep you nice and toasty. All right, Mark, go ahead and shoot your question at Scott.
All right. Just like every gauntlet, I think of a very spicy, probably inappropriate question, and then I go with the softer one. So here's the soft one. and maybe I'll ask you the question offline. So here's my question: if you could build the perfect Infinity Bro by dissecting the 6 that exist, one Infinity Bro Prime, what do you assemble to make this Infinity Bro Prime? Well, I mean, now you can say it on there.
I would absolutely take Isaac's voice because it is deep and it shames me. Every time I listen to my own podcast, I think, I wish I sounded like Isaac. I would take Mark's wit because it is very cutting. I would take Zayne's just enigmatic je ne sais quoi. Like, just there's like, it's kind of like his picture is kind of fuzzy on the Zencast right now. I don't know if like there's an aura radiating off of him. I would take Jarrett's I would take Jarrett's boyhood charm because even in his wedding pictures, I legitimately thought they were his prom pictures. I would take Robbie's shoulders. And I would take Max's ability to be a living bit. I mean, just his whole life is a bit. Or his deep set dead eyes. Either of those I would take.
We've had many comments on those eyes on TikTok. Wow, you look so tired.
It's just the way I look. Leave me alone.
I promise. I'm fine,
Isaac's
guys.
voice, Mark's wit, Zayne's enigmatic qualities, Jarrett's boyhood charms, Robbie's shoulders, and Max's ability to be a living.
I feel like you've definitely said those before because like you came up with those so quickly. Like I would have had to think about that a little bit, even being an Infinity Bro myself. But you just like know all of us so well that you just were like, you knew it off the top of your head.
He just described Infinity Bro Prime, but we need the part 2. Scott, how do we kill Infinity Bro Prime? We need the secret. We're putting it in the file.
The secret.
So Scott's like,
how do we take it down?
This Ultron-like Infinity Bro, but now it's too powerful.
I would just need to get you into a dry climate because I've seen you in your lake get-ups with your tank tops on and just some fleshiness there.
Ooh.
Just wait until you see Max's boat shirt, man.
Just get you in a dry climate without any leeches or humidity, and I think you might just wither and die. I mean, we don't have beards like that, Zayne, because they literally sap the strength. It's like the opposite of Samson. We grow those when we get weaker.
That's fair.
So I would just invite you all to Arizona and wait for the arid desert to kill you. And then I would feast on your corpses and send pictures to your wives, be like, I've defeated them. And then Holly and I would run off together.
See, now to add on to that, Scott does that, lures Infinity Bro Prime to Arizona and forgets that he put Max's face. No facial hair.
True. Good point. No! Oh, good point. Oh, man.
I didn't leave that in there.
That was...
Joke's on you, Max.
Man.
I did not mean to intimate that I was going to run away with your
great
wife,
questions.
Because I love my wife.
I caught that. I thought that was hilarious.
Holly's, as I've said, my favorite Infinity Bro. But I'm very happy in my marriage.
It's okay, Scott. Holly would have to get over her crush on me first. We don't have to worry about it.
Man, I should make her listen to this episode.
Please don't.
She might. No.
Like Holly, I was on a podcast and Zayne and Scott were fighting over you.
I will get a text. Please don't.
Thanks, shining armor guy.
Yep, Zayne probably will.
Zayne shows up tomorrow at your house and destroys Holly's phone.
Doesn't destroy any of the podcasting equipment or files that we have saved. Nope, destroys Holly's phone. Okay, Scott, we've got one final question for you from me. If someone is holding a weapon to your head and they force you to choose between wiping out any and all content and memories from Star Trek or Star Wars, which do you choose? So one of them is not going to exist anymore. Which one is it?
I love both passionately, but I would have to eliminate Star Trek because Star Wars, even with all the MCU stuff, all the Star Trek stuff, all comic books, like Star Wars it's still my number one. Like last night I was giddy watching Obi Wan and even watching the trailers for Andor. And I still like the ceiling for excitement is higher for Star Wars than for anything else. Still to this point, I just love Star Wars so much. I would miss Captain Picard, but I would go with Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean, and none of us are Trekkies on here, so that's not a question for any of us, but like I totally feel the kind of the nostalgia and just the feelings you have for that. It's like, man, I don't know what I would do if I didn't have Star Wars right now. Like,
and I still haven't watched the Clone Wars, so there's, hours upon hours of content there.
Dude, you got to get to that.
Got to get on that.
It's so good.
Well, if my wife and children actually leave me, then I'll have all the time in the world to watch. So wish that upon me, Isaac. Wish that my family leaves me so I can finally watch the Clone Wars.
We'll be praying for that, Scott. So anyways, with all of this Star Wars talk, we have a ton of Star Wars things to discuss. We're just going to run through a few quick announcements that Star Wars themselves dropped with the Star Wars celebration that happened over the past couple days here. But we got a new trailer for Andor, which is actually premiering August 31st. And this trailer looks pretty decent. Like, honestly, I've not been excited for this show, but the trailer is getting me more pumped for it. Like, I loved Rogue One. Like, sure, don't get me wrong, but I felt like Andor was kind of like, why do we need this show? Mark, what did you think of the new trailer of Andor?
Honestly, I didn't know there was a first trailer. Like, that's for how out of the loop I've been.
No, this is the this is the first trailer that we've seen. Like, they've come out with like clips and stuff, but they dropped the trailer for the first trailer for Andor this week.
The only thing I didn't like about the trailer is like that constant ringing of that bell. But I've always like prior to like Rogue One and like the Han Solo story, I've wanted stories in the Star Wars universe that didn't involve like Jedis. So like I'm pumped for stuff like this.
Right. And I think we're definitely moving towards that with a lot of this stuff here. But number 2 on the list here was that Ahsoka is now dropping in 2023. I think they had originally announced that it was coming at the end of 2022. But, pushbacks happen all the time, especially with the amount of content that we're getting these days. Like it's wild that we're getting like two Star Wars shows in a year, and then we're getting 5 Marvel shows in a year. Like, it's just nuts how much stuff they're coming out with. But Zane, does this make a difference for you? Or I'm assuming this is probably like early-ish 2023, but I think we're all excited for Ahsoka. So,
oh, definitely. Like, it's especially what we got just from The Mandalorian and even her appearance in Book of Boba Fett. Like, is a beloved character. Like, Scott is obviously behind the ball because he's never watched Clone Wars, so he doesn't get the Ahsoka appeal.
I watched enough to know who Ahsoka is. It's not like she showed him like, who's that? I don't know who that is.
He was really confused when she showed up in The Mandalorian and was like,
what's a Twi'lek doing here? I know she's not a Twi'lek. Shut up, internet. I get it.
Scott's
going to get canceled on our podcast before he even gets canceled on his own.
Scott's the angry cat typing meme right now. I know who she is. But no, like, I would prefer them to take their time if they have to tweak stuff to make sure that it's released at the right time. But also if they have to just polish anything up, I'd much rather them say, hey, we're going to bump this back a few more months and just either it needs more work or just a release window. Because, like, yeah, we have a lot of stuff coming out this year. It makes sense sometimes, hey, we're going to bump this back a little bit to just kind of fit in the overarching timeline of things. Because, yeah, you can kind of get burnt out if you try to cram too much stuff into 1 year.
Absolutely. And with that same kind of timeline, they announced that The Mandalorian Season 3 is also going to be premiering in 2023, which that wasn't really a surprise to anybody. I think we all kind of knew that was going to be happening. Scott, thoughts on Mandalorian in general and then Season 3?
It'll be February 2023, and Katie Sackhoff was there, Bo-Katan, talking about how I think a lot of this season is going to focus on her and her trying to become King of Mandalore. This is where my, Clone Wars. She's gonna be the Emperor of Mandalore, and so she's gonna be that lady who was into not Boba Fett, Obi-Wan, right? Like he was into the President of Mandalore. Yeah, I've seen that.
President.
Zayne
Yeah.
is fuming.
Zane's getting hot and bothered over there. Actually.
I'm excited for season 3 of Mandalorian. I've been probably more critical than most people of The Mandalorian. That doesn't mean I don't enjoy it thoroughly, and and I am very excited for it. But yeah, I'm excited to see what happens and see a little Grogu running around some more.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we're all excited for Mandalorian season 3, especially with Book of Boba Fett kind of being like season 2.5. We got like 3 episodes that were basically focused on Grogu and the Mandalorian. So, you know, like super excited for that. Obviously, they announced a new show that is also going to be dropping in 2023 on Disney Plus called Skeleton Crew, an original series starring Jude Law from executive producers John Watts, Christopher Ford, Jon Favreau, and Dave Filoni. And they didn't really announce anything other than that. Like, Jude Law is going to be in this Skeleton Crew. That's it.
It's starring 4. It's a live action series starring 4 kids, but it is not a kids show.
Yes, I did hear the kids are going to be like a focal point of the show too. But like, yeah, we don't really know much else about that. But I mean, Jude Law, I love him as an actor, so I'm down for this. It's going to be Star Wars themed, probably along the same lines of like the non-Jedi Star Wars that we're going to be getting. So I hope, anyways. Like, Skeleton Crew.
And I believe it's set during the same time frame as the Mandalorian.
Yeah, so, and they're kind of focusing on this time period, you know, kind of like post-original trilogy, but pre-sequel trilogy, which is kind of interesting, filling in some of those blanks that we might have, you know, and kind of expanding on obviously Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff like that. So, Mark, any thoughts on Skeleton Crew?
No, that was like, I'm like I said, I've been out of the loop for a while. So like just catching up on all this stuff today, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm all in.
Yeah.
And John Watts left the Fantastic Four movie in order to tackle this series.
Well, and that's the whole thing where I've read that they're like, oh, we're just going to keep pumping out Star Wars content forever. So it's just like, just give it all to me before I die. Just I'll open my mouth. You just pour it in.
Hopefully we've got a while before that happens. So I mean, like, I would hope that Star Wars would be dead as a franchise before you die.
They said forever, so they better not be like, I'm 55 and no more Star Wars is going on because some apocalypse happened. I'm pretty mad.
All right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I would hope that it keeps
happen, and the thing that Mark is most upset about is that there's
Star
no Star
Wars.
Wars.
I'm gonna go find Kathleen Kennedy and give her a piece of my mind.
I'm gonna go through the zombie wastelands in order to find Kathleen Kennedy. Like, I know there's zombies at your front door, and you know we went to World War IV over this, but seriously, I need more Star Wars.
And then they're gonna make this whole thing into a movie of Mark going down there to confront Kathleen Kennedy, and it's gonna be Mad Max Fury Road 2.
Love it. He's gonna be so mad about it. It's great.
He's so mad.
He's so bad. It's just furious. Just mad Max to the max.
Mad with 2 Ds.
And one more piece of Star Wars content that I wanted to touch on that actually just dropped today. Star Wars released a trailer for Jedi Survivor, the sequel to Fallen Order that will be actually premiering next year in 2023, which I think we were all kind of expecting it kind of around that timeline. But I mean, nonetheless, it's awesome to get as much as we did. We got a full trailer for this game and it looks incredible. I know Zayne and I have like played game on stream and are huge fans of Fallen Order. So Zayne, what'd you think of the trailer?
Oh, I'm excited. Like, I mean, they wouldn't even had to give me a trailer. They could have just been, oh, here's the title card. I'd be like, yeah, let's go. Like, everything just coming from the first one. And yeah, you just get more of this and you're just so hyped about it. You know, just even just kind of that overset dialogue of the Grand Inquisitor talking to Cal Kestis, and you're just like, oh, this is just going to be so cool. And yeah, I want more of that story, and the more we get of that story, the more I want to see that in the actual TV universe. Like, bring Cal Kestis in, like, start tying the video games in with everything else. Like, I'm all for it.
Odds Cal shows up in Obi Wan Kenobi.
Oh my gosh.
I would love that. I would love that.
That would be awesome. Even just a little, like, I mean, we got the BD droid in Book of Boba Fett, but like that would be fantastic if we got like just a quick like glimpse of him at some point in the show.
Because I feel like you don't use actual like body cam or like how they do that video game,
right? Yeah,
and hire like a known actor not to have him be in the live action stuff.
Yeah, you don't hire Cameron Monaghan for that, to not use them in live action.
Yeah, and he's totally down too. Like he said multiple times, he's like, yeah, I'm all in for like whatever role I'm able to get through this video game. So like he is down to play some live action Cal Kestis, I think. So, and he's great. Like he was awesome in the video games and in every role that I've watched him in. I've really appreciated him. So,
and a guy from the CW. So there you go, Isaac.
And Scott, who doesn't play video games, what did you think of the trailer?
I didn't watch it because I've never played the video games. But you did miss one. Let me go into host mode. You missed one little bit. They announced a new series for children called Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures that will be dropping on Disney Plus and Disney Junior. And so those of us children will be happy with this because we will finally get to stop watching Spidey and his amazing friends and watch something else.
I mean, okay, full disclosure though, I've watched Resistance, which is kind of the kids Star Wars show on Disney Plus right now.
No.
And that show,
no, because that's on Disney XD. This is Disney Plus and Disney Junior.
Oh, well, yeah, true. That would be Disney before Disney Plus existed.
I feel like it's going to be, carbon copy.
This is like kids.
PJ Masks, I mean, carbon copy of Spidey and Many Friends. We'll have 3 little Jedi younglings running around, and they'll all have different colored lightsabers,
solving crimes and fighting bad guys and stuff like that. I mean, you know what? Like, sure. Add another little kid show to the list of shows that my kids watch. Why not? And it's Star Wars themed, so like I love my kids watching. The more
shows that Disney releases, that means the longer my kids will go without watching Blippi, and that is all I want as a parent.
True. Good point. Good point. Or Cocomelon. Yes. Avoid those at all costs. Please.
Exist. It's like if my kids try watching, I'm like, shut up, get out of here.
No. Sorry, you can't watch that. Yeah, I'm so glad my kids are out of the Baby Shark and the Cocomelon stage. Oh, we were in that for a while, and it was painful. It was a painful stage of life.
I'm sorry, Mark. You have things to look forward to.
I just imagine it'll be something else though, completely. So I just can't wait to see what that something else is.
Mark, actually, you mentioned this the other day. Mark was like, "Oh yeah, my kid's just gonna watch Batman the animated series and that's it." And I was like, "Yes." Good luck to you in that. I hope your kid only watches that.
How do they find these shows if we don't have live TV? It's only streaming.
They find them. My kids did find Blippi.
They just find them?
I don't know. I think it was the end of an Octonauts episode, and it said, "You might also like this." And JoJo flipped to it, and I said, "Oh no."
Oh God, no.
No,
kids these days are so resourceful. Like they figure things out, and it's wild. Like Svea, my 5-year-old, she knows how to run like our iPad just as well as I do. She knows like how to get to each app that she wants to watch like TV on and stuff like that. And if she wants to watch, and she ends up watching all these really super duper weird shows on Netflix. And at this point, I've turned so many down that I'm just like, whatever, just like watch whatever you want, because I know that she's on like the kids Netflix profile, so I know it's all like safe content, even though it's like super dumb content. Yeah, but it's like safe content. Whereas
I'd rather
like YouTube,
watch gratuitous violence and nudity than this. Like seriously, like at some point,
just get the parental controls on Disney Plus and just let them go wild. Just
having said all this, I was at a mutual friend of ours, Chase, who has 2 kids, and they were watching Bluey. And I tell you what, that's not a bad show.
Bluey is spectacular.
Scott and I are huge Bluey proponents.
So if that's still if they make like 150 more of those episodes, so like I can watch it with my child, I'll be fine with that.
Yep. Season 3 is done, but it's not on Disney Plus yet.
I'm moving to Australia. I'm just gonna go to Australia
so you can watch season 3 of Bluey. I
need Bandit in my life, you guys. I need him.
Scott's gonna go to jail over illegally streaming Bluey.
Pirated season 3 of Bluey.
What are you in for?
I have not
legally streamed
downloaded
Bluey.
a torrent in many a year, but if I could find a torrent for season 3 of Bluey, I might lean in.
It might be worth it.
Mark, how do I access the dark web?
Well, it's a long
tell you
story,
here.
says Mark.
Mark's camera goes black. Just
We're already here, Scott.
Just takes you out of the simulation.
I put my computer in dark mode, but that didn't do it. I think there's more to it than that.
You got also incognito, and then you have to have a VPN.
Oh, gosh. Well, if you are here and still listening, shockingly, you're probably here to listen to us talk about Obi Wan Kenobi, which, I mean, guys, this show, I was so excited. Let's talk a little bit about the hype going into it, because for whatever you think about the prequels, Ewan McGregor is probably one of the best things about Star Wars, in general. Ewan McGregor is a global treasure in Star Wars. So when it was finally announced that he's doing an Obi Wan Kenobi show, that he was coming back for this, what were your guys' initial thoughts? I'm gonna start with you, Mark. What did you think about this?
I've more Star Wars. Just give it to me. I could care less hype or if it sounds better or not. But I love the prequels. I love all Star Wars. And I feel like for 20 years, or I should say up until last maybe 2 or 3 years, the prequels got such bad rap because the boomers and the older Gen Xers are the ones who had the big voice. They're like, oh man, I grew up watching the first 3, blah, blah, blah. These suck, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, George Lucas didn't make it for you. He made it for us. George Lucas made it for us, and they didn't get that. And now that we have the bigger voice on socials, now it's good. Now people like it. So there it is.
But you guys all complain about the sequel trilogy.
I never complained about
You don't. But
Okay,
you're-
so
it's the same. It's the same toxic
I love 'em.
fandom. Right. So I was 17.
Star Wars fans are the worst fans of Star Wars.
It was so horrible. So I turned 17. I remember I stood in line to buy tickets to watch episode 1 when it first came out, and I loved it. And I saw Attack of the Clones. I was like, you know what? It wasn't that great, but I loved it because it was Star Wars. And I just love it because it's Star Wars. And it's so disheartening, right, to go 15 years hearing all this same toxic conversation about the prequels, which you identified very well, Mark. And then fast forward to 2019, and it's all the same conversation again, especially around Last Jedi. Oh my gosh. So I mean, I'm right there with you, Mark. I just love Star Wars. It's just, so when people say, what's your favorite movie? I just say Star Wars. I just mean the whole thing. It just it means so much to my life and my nerddom and my fandom that I couldn't imagine life without it. So I was super stoked when they announced Obi Wan Kenobi. I was super stoked when Ewan McGregor was coming back. I've been so excited for this since it was announced, and then I was just grinning like an idiot last night, sitting on the couch watching it. I was just so
oh my gosh, so
happy.
good.
I was just happy.
I think I was more pumped when I heard Hayden Christensen was coming back.
Yeah,
that's what really got the fire
I'm
burning
so
for me.
excited that he is getting so much more love than he got, when those movies first came out. Just the fact that he gets standing ovations now when he comes out at Celebration, that warms my heart, because if anything was wrong with the prequels, it wasn't his fault.
Yeah, back in the day, him and Jake Lloyd got bad flack for their
and
roles
Ahmed
and
Best
how
for
they
playing
were
Jar Jar
portrayed.
Binks. I mean, it's just all this.
Yeah, that poor guy. Oh my gosh, he got death threats for being Jar Jar Binks. Just wild.
Hey, those boomers
wild
are
stuff.
crazy.
They are pretty crazy.
Well, yeah, you
I was just gonna say, you don't identify with the boomers, but you're kind of up there somewhere.
You're either a young Gen X or an old millennial. You're one of those two.
They decided, said it's literally people born as some guy in Australia, probably Bandit's friend from Bluey. That it's it's an exennial. It's people literally born from when Star Wars came out in 1977 and Empire Strikes came out in 1983. It's this weird 6-year gap where we're not digital natives enough like you guys, but we got it early enough to where we can pretend like we're digital natives. But we still remember when the internet sucked and you had to dial up and you had AOL. It was crazy.
I've had the internet since '95. My dad had, so I remember dial-up. I remember being a little kid and used the internet. So there it is. So that's why I know how to get the dark web, Scott. You know. Been there all my life.
You can only access the dark web through a 56K modem. So one,
yep, exactly.
Call Verizon, have them install a phone line into your house. Two,
we still AOL. We still have the AOL discs that you got for free at grocery stores. Just shove them in.
Oh god,
guys, I've got 300 minutes of internet. It's so great.
Yeah.
And I used it all to download one picture of Nicole Kidman from Batman Forever.
Oh boy.
Oh man. And we as elder millennials, like, so when the prequels came out, we were like kids. Like, I don't know about you guys, if this was your experience. Like, I absolutely loved the prequels when they came out. I did not feel the same way about Attack of the Clones, Scott. I was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me when they came out. And same with Revenge of the Sith, even though that one is like when I think I was probably in high school at that time, but still I was like, this is incredible. This is amazing. And then like the discourse just got, crazy online of everybody hating the prequels, and now it's come full circle and now everybody loves the prequels again, apparently. So, but yeah, Zane, what is your hype on Obi-Wan here?
Well, I just wanted to add on, it's just to be the older millennial. Like, I still remember as a kid, it was the coolest thing. It was Dr. Pepper, and I think Coke did it too, but like you'd buy the cans and it had the characters like picture on the can. And I was just like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like, these people are in movies. I can collect these cans.
I remember wanting to collect the cans, but like I would collect them after my parents drank them and I drank them. And so I just had a bunch of empty like cans all over my room.
Right. Just same. Like that would be the same thing. It'd be like, oh, I didn't have this character yet.
Now, like just cans all over.
With that, my sister worked at a movie theater and had the cardboard Mountain Dew cutout of Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor, in like young Obi-Wan lightsaber. Like, it was awesome. I'm getting too giddy now. And we lost it because of a flood, and the water just went up the cardboard and destroyed it.
Somebody reminded me of this, but like the lightsaber spoons that you got in cereal boxes, those are like the best toys that you could ever get out of a cereal box. Like
yeah, because I think someone brought that up in the group chat too, and like I legit sat and thought about that of what were some of the coolest things that ever came out of a cereal box, and I think that's it. Those lightsaber spoons that you could actually click the switch and it actually glowed. I don't think anything's topped that.
An Amazon Trail computer game that I played a ton growing up, but lightsaber spoons definitely top of the list.
Absolutely. But from that segue, no, I was super excited about Obi-Wan. And yeah, I know this was kind of falling into the overarching of what we had from the movies and everything else, but like Obi-Wan's such a beloved character. Ewan McGregor can do no wrong. It's just like, it's cool to see it back. It's just everything. It's not only has the nostalgia of when we were younger, of the prequel trilogy, but now just seeing it on the screen now, like a continuation of this story. So it's like, it's mixed with the new excitement, like, hey, new Star Wars content, but also it's drawing on that nostalgia that we had from growing up. And I think that's it's a really good mix to have.
Absolutely. So anyways, guys, Obi Wan Kenobi released yesterday. Well, technically it's today is the release date, but kind of released yesterday, May 27th, 2022. Obi Wan Kenobi begins 10 years after the dramatic events of Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, where Obi Wan Kenobi faced his greatest defeat, the downfall and corruption of his best friend and Jedi apprentice Anakin Skywalker, who turned to the dark side as evil Sith Lord Darth Vader. This is directed by Deborah Chow. Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen come back. We've also got Moses Ingram, Joel Edgerton, Bonnie P.S., Kumail Nanjiani. I'm pulling serious Max vibes here. Indira Varma, Rupert Friend, O'Shea Jackson Jr., Sung Kang, Simone Kessel, and Benny Safdie in the credits here. But episode 1 and 2 dropped today, so obviously you guys have seen that if you're still listening to this. We thought we were going to get episode 1 2 days ago, like a month ago, they announced, all right, we're pushing it back a little bit, but you're getting 2 episodes. So we were able to get episode 1 and episode 2. And man, like you guys already mentioned, it was just, it was pure joy just watching these episodes. Finally, we've been waiting for so long for Ewan McGregor, and it has just been like, I still hold like Obi Wan Kenobi, Ewan McGregor's Obi Wan specifically, is my favorite character in all of Star Wars. So like, this is my jam. This is what I'm here for. Sign me up for all of this. I mean, let's just dive right into it. We'll talk episode 1 right away. We're not going to go into like details or anything like that, but like just generally overall, what were you guys' thoughts on episode 1? Mark, go ahead. And you can go ahead and rate it right off the bat too, if you guys want.
Rate 6 out of 6. My bad. I'm sorry. 6.01 out of 6. sorry, Scott.
Sorry.
I'm kidding.
The only, having said that, I wish they would have put, and I get why they didn't for cinema reasons, but like they should have put in the beginning when they did like a recap, they should have put Clone Wars stuff in there from the cartoon, the animated stuff. Because some of that info is used up, and they had Filoni on as like a special, basically continuity person. But yeah, I think the first episode we get him right in Tatooine. He's just living a normal life, trying to do his best not to be, caught, stay incognito. And clearly there's another Jedi that happens to also be on Tatooine. So there must be some force calling people, something in the force that's calling people to Tatooine for some odd reason. And we get the first look on the Inquisitors. And just goes from there. And we get to see, is it the first episode that we see little Leia too as well?
Yeah.
And then also we get like the little like obviously there's some rift between Owen and Kenobi. So all that, and the first episode gets us off into the journey that we're going to have. So
yeah,
loved it.
It started out with a cold open that was bringing us back to the Order 66, and it's happening at the Jedi Temple. Like, it goes to this group of like younglings or whatever you want to call them that like are being instructed by a Jedi, and then they like are trying to get out of the Jedi Temple, and it just shows all of these lightsabers like fighting initially, and then one by one they each like turn off as they like are defeated, and it was just like, oh, jeez.
Are we assuming that those 5 or 6 younglings are gonna show up at some point?
Maybe
because like we didn't see them get murdered, we didn't get to see them get Anakin'd, so
True.
They got to be around.
Not yet, anyways. Maybe we see that later.
What about you, Master Skywalker? What are we gonna do? What I really liked about that cold open scene is that they finally produced some real life clone trooper armor, because they did not produce any real clone trooper armor for the prequels. So to see like they actually made it and there were real life actors inside of it, they looked so good on screen.
It looked so good. Mm-hmm.
I loved that.
Or did they just have Tamara Morrison play all the Clone War people
at the same time?
Those have to be some elastic clone trooper uniforms.
Yep.
Hey, he trimmed up pretty good for his,
he
his
did.
season
He was nice and
Boba
barrel
Fett.
chested for Boba Fett.
He just had the dad bod thing going on for Mandalorian,
He didn't get that back to tank yet, so
That's what did it. Man, we need back to tanks, don't we?
Never mind, Zane. I'm not gonna create a drug that vasectomies people. I'm gonna create a back to tank.
A back to tank? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The back to tank? Yeah, there we go.
The back to tank. The vasectomy back to tank. You just go in there, you get a vasectomy.
Whoa!
Just lay in the back to tank for a little bit. It's great. It's great. Very efficient, I'm sure, and relaxing. Tamura seemed to have some nightmares when he was laying in the back to tank, but I'm sure they could get rid of those somehow.
The Vasecta tank coming to a hospital near you.
The Vasecta tank.
I thought it was a spa. No.
Wow. Max is going to have so much fun editing this episode, guys. I'm so excited.
Can't wait.
He's gonna like, no, I'm not. I'm gonna let everything these idiots say get on the internet.
He's done that. He's done that before.
He has.
He has.
Okay, so I was
Screw you,
expecting-
try
we
keeping your
take.
job now.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, joke's on him.
Okay, so we saw the Grand Inquisitor and some of the Inquisitors in the trailer, so that wasn't like necessarily a first reveal or anything like that. One thing, and Zane, I talked to you about this earlier, that was interesting was, so the Grand Inquisitor looks a little different. He's not like, his Rebels, like long faced looking dude, but that's not like abnormal. Like if you compare a lot of the characters in Clone Wars and Rebels, like they're very cartoonish. So it's kind of like whatever, like it didn't distract too much for me anyways. I know a lot of people were all riled up about it on the internet, but I thought he looked.
And the grievance people have with that is in Clone Wars, episode 2, they do look like that.
Yes. And so
but I think they wanted to go more practical effects. That's why they didn't do that. So I'm on that.
Here's the interesting thing. So yeah, you totally exactly hit on what I'm going to talk about here. The Jedi Survivor trailer that we got the Grand Inquisitor, and he looked exactly like the race of aliens that he is in episode 2 or 3. I think it's episode 3 of the prequels.
It's which one has Grievous? I thought that was. Oh, you're right. Yeah,
I think it is 3 because it's the one where Obi Wan fights Grievous and
it's when Order 66 happens.
Yeah, right. Okay, so but he looks exactly like those guys. So I was kind of like, oh, that's interesting. And obviously the games are not like they're canon, but they're like different, produced differently by different people. EA's got their hands in there and everything. So like different choices were made. I don't know how much pull Filoni has with games and all that kind of stuff. But I just thought that was an interesting parallel because the dude looked exactly like the episode 3 alien race that he is supposed to be. So just a little minor detail, I guess. But I thought he still looked good. And the thing that people were going to complain about was he didn't have like yellow eyes in the trailer. Had yellow eyes in the show. So like, I think they did a great job at translating a cartoon character into live action. I thought it looked pretty good. Zane, why don't you go ahead with your rating and thoughts about episode 1?
Yeah, I'm like kind of just going off of what everyone else has been saying. Just that the cold open, just the straight up, hey, we're jumping you right in with Order 66, everything going on, and just you're like, all right, I'm ready. Anytime anything Order 66 comes up, you're just like, I'm ready to feel it. Just stab me in the heart, just because you know what's going on. But then just to segue into that and just everything of taking that and like, all right, we're on Tatooine, we're showing everything, Obi Wan just trying to hide, live, normal life. Like that's that whole point, and I think that's kind of what it kind of started capturing, especially in those first 2 episodes, of just that. Like the Jedi, like they have to disappear. They're literally just being hunted. Like you have to try to blend in as much as you can and just live a normal life. Like to go at the very top, at the height of the power that the Jedi had, to go completely to the bottom, like to kind of capture that. Like that's a huge undertaking. Just you got to just be a normal person now. So yeah, the everything it established and just through episode 1. 6 out of 6. Well, Scott's here, so 6.01. So yeah, like it was exactly how I thought you had set stuff up for the first episode, and I thought they did a very good job of, all right, here's Obi-Wan, here's our first episode. We're gonna get it going, and it met my expectations.
Yeah, very nice. Scott, thoughts on episode 1?
Yeah, no, 6 out of 6. I thought it was great. I think you and McGregor talked about how we're going to see kind of a different version of Obi-Wan, like how we get from episode 3 Obi-Wan, episode 1, 2, and 3 Obi-Wan, to sort of angry, kind of a little bit of aloof Ben Kenobi in episode 4. And so I think there's a good stepping stone in that, just seeing kind of his despair at the Jedi being defeated, I think was really, really powerful. And we see some of that again. I think that was my favorite part of the second episode, which we'll get to. But just even his, like, telling that Jedi, like, just leave, like, bury that in the sand. Like, just give it, like, the Jedi we failed. And so I think feeling like, and living with that failure and defeat for 10 years, right? Leaving Yoda at the, as Yoda, fails to defeat the Emperor, and he escapes, and they're on Bail Organa's ship, and like this is like we failed, like we there's no choice. But like there's still even that glimmer of hope though, right, for Obi-Wan, because he wants to train Luke. So even in this pit of despair that he's feeling of failure upon failure of the Jedi Council, not knowing that there was a Sith Lord in charge of the Senate, right? That's got to weigh on you pretty heavily. Like, dang it, we missed that one. Probably should have seen that one coming. Like, having that weigh on you for 10 years, but still, overarching theme of Star Wars, like, still having that hope that if Luke could be trained, like maybe he's looking to the prophecy, maybe he's the one who brings balance to the Force, trusting that it's not Anakin, but Anakin's son who will do it. So I thought it was great. I think, like you guys said, just seeing Ewan McGregor, I mean, he's so perfect as Obi-Wan. He's warm, and he's stern, and he's kind, and he's funny. Like his interaction with the Jawa was hilarious. I mean, it was spectacular. I was so excited to get to watch it.
Yeah, man, the thing that hits that you just said is the despair. Like, it was palpable how the hope had just left Obi-Wan, like you mentioned that interaction with the Jedi is just like, just go bury your lightsaber, leave, live a normal life. Like, don't be a Jedi anymore. And that's such a turn from him in the prequels, because even though he's critical in the prequels, he's still very like upbeat and generally I think believes that everything's going to work out, even if he's in a tough situation. He doesn't think that anymore. He's like, it's over. And that was a big just mind twist to see him in this spot where he thinks everything is done, and obviously at this time, things are starting to happen for the Resistance and all that good stuff, but he's out of it. He's like, no, we lost. There's no going back. We're done. Stop being a Jedi. That was the line that got me, is like, just don't be a Jedi anymore. Just forget about it. Forget about it. Just wild. But anyways, yeah, episode 1 was great. I loved 99% of it. I'm giving it a 5.9999 repeating.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
Somebody's got to be that guy, and Max isn't here, so Max would have given this episode like a 3 out of 6. So, the one thing that I have with both episode 1 and 2, so I'll kind of like stretch this across episode 1 and 2. The third sister, I don't believe her. Like, she doesn't seem evil, and she's not scary to me.
Really?
And yeah,
she was one of my favorite parts of the show.
And she's a great actress. I'm not like dogging her, but like the Inquisitors are generally just like pretty freaky. They're like scary. And the way that she portrays the Inquisitor, I don't know. I'm not getting it, but I did tell Zayne.
I was gonna say, if the Grand Inquisitor doesn't stop her in certain points, she's murdering like a bunch of innocent people.
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah. No.
Right,
That part
So,
is like,
that's pretty evil, bro.
She's unhinged.
She's doing the evil things, but like when I look at her face, like I'm not scared. I'm not scared of her. That's the thing. Like when I look at Darth Vader, he's a scary dude. I'm scared when I see him on screen.
6'6" guy in a black mask with a cape. Like, she's an actress. Like,
I don't know. I'm just like not feeling her, but I think this is what I told Zayne earlier. I think that's because she's going to turn and help Obi-Wan at some point in this show. I really think that's what's going to happen.
It kind of seems more like she really wants to kill Obi-Wan.
I know.
Help him.
It does seem like that, Zayne. Thank you very much for pointing that out.
I mean, it was pretty underneath the surface. It was a lot of subtext. You probably didn't pick up on it. You're not very bright.
I did catch that, actually. Thank you.
She actually wants to kill him. I mean, it wasn't on the nose.
I'm just beginning to feel like we just found Isaac's She-Hulk.
Okay. You know what?
I just don't get the character. I just don't get it.
I love I don't know exactly. Okay, forgive me because I'm not like a super duper Star Wars nerd. I have to actually look things up. But whichever sisters are in Jedi Fallen Order, I don't remember which sisters they are, but like those sisters were scary. I was scared when I was playing that game and fighting those sisters. Like, they were freaky. And this one,
you had to actually fight them. You had to actually fight them. You're not just watching it on a screen.
I still absolutely love this episode, everything else about it. And I think this is going to turn around in her favor. Like, I think this is still going to, I'm holding out for the rest of the show that this is going to be a good turn for her. And I think she's a great actress. I'm not like really dogging her performance or anything like that. I just, for some reason, I'm not like getting the villain vibe from her, even though she is clearly evil and murdering people and stuff like that. The Grand Inquisitor twist was interesting. I did not see that coming at all. I was like, oh, okay, we're just killing the Grand Inquisitor now. Sweet. Okay, then.
Is he supposed to be the same one from Rebels? Like, this is where my
well, and that's where some people,
limited.
that's where the Star Wars fans.
I love Star Wars flan. It's really caramely and just custardy.
It is,
but it's just
where he, if he dies here, that's 5 years before Rebels comes out. However, it's like, how many people in Star Wars have we seen cut in half, stabbed, blah blah blah? You don't see a dead body. You don't see someone going up to them and like making sure they're not breathing anymore. They're alive. So the Grand Inquisitor is alive. And if he's not, then why do they have Dave Filoni be there to be like the continuity guy? So, whatever.
Well, and I mean, would it make sense that this is a different Grand Inquisitor? Sure. Like, you could do that. Why not? I think it would be weird
his head
that
wasn't so tall.
Right.
Wow. Could you imagine that's what they do to us?
Oh my gosh. But anyways, like, I mean, it would make sense for sure, but like, it would be weird if they picked a similar alien race that looked very similar to the first Grand Inquisitor. I don't know. It would be kind of odd if they did it, but it would work. Sure. Why not? So anyways, 5.99999 repeating for
little line over
one.
it.
And I'm going to give them both. Yeah. A little line over it. Exactly. You gotta get that line. I'm going to give them both that because of the same thing. And the chase scene. Oh, first of all, okay, we haven't even mentioned Leia yet. That little girl that plays Leia is amazing.
She's a great actor.
Like, she nails Leia's character so well. That was like my favorite part of these episodes so far, is her and Obi-Wan's like interactions. Chef's kiss, amazing. The parkour that the third sister is doing all over the rooftops to eventually just land in an alley and be confronted by a dude pretending to be a Jedi was like, why did we have all of this? Like, what was the point of all of the cool flips and like doing all this on all the rooftops if she's not gonna make it? That part was just like, okay, that was a little odd again. But action has been great. I loved how Obi-Wan is like, again, Ewan McGregor, he's played this perfectly. I absolutely adore that guy. There's nothing he can do wrong in my eyes at this point. He's the best part of Star Wars right now.
He threw a punch and it's like he hurt his fit. Like, it was so
yeah, he's
so
like
great.
he's so human in that moment. And it's like he hasn't fought anybody in 10 years, and it looks like he hasn't fought anybody in 10 years. The one like, and I'm bringing all the nitpicks out. Like, there was one little moment where he was leaving Tatooine and he like flashed his lightsaber out for everybody to see. And it was like, come on, dude. Like, you're trying to be a little inconspicuous. Like, you don't need to show everybody that you have a lightsaber on your
You want
hip.
to nitpick
Like,
something?
That's a
How
little
did he find
much.
his lightsaber? Do you guys know how deserts work?
Yes.
It's a force thing, right? Like, he just found it. He just like was going and he like felt it.
I mean,
the force.
if we saw The Force Awakens, that lightsaber calls to Rey, so I'm sure that lightsaber just calls to Obi-Wan.
Good point. And he's got both his and Anakin's lightsaber in there, so they're both calling to him. So it's like a stronger call, so he definitely didn't have as much trouble finding the box in the middle of the giant desert.
It's like, no, that dude has stayed in the exact same spot for a decade.
Yeah. And it's like like maybe 6 inches deep. Like he didn't bother. Like this is Tatooine.
We can't assume Tatooine's climate is the same as Earth's climate.
That's true. It has 2 suns.
No matter how much we want to argue that theory. We have no idea how their climate works. All right.
Hey, Obi-Wan's good. That's all I'm saying. Like if he could find those in the middle of the Tatooine desert, like
I wasn't expecting little
master.
Leia to show up, but I was so excited. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't think it would, but it makes total sense, right? That her story would be intertwined with her brothers. And so when she showed up and when Jimmy Smith showed up as Bail Organa again, I mean, I was just I was so excited.
Awesome.
And it makes sense, right? That it's to pull Obi-Wan out of retirement. Like narratively, it all makes sense. Like it's not just thrusting Leia in here to put her in there, but it's like this is a reason. There's a story behind it. So I thought it worked really well. And again, that Alicia and I. So she's supposed to be 10 years old. She looks like our daughter who just turned 6. I guess the actor was like 8 when she filmed the role. So find it in the middle. Like that girl does not look 10. But other than that,
I wonder how they're gonna do it, like for canon, to if one person thinks like, oh, Organa has some ties to Obi-Wan, and all of a sudden Obi-Wan shows up to this planet because we had their child, does that get like forgotten by people or what?
Obi-Wan just kills everybody that remembers. So I mean,
Well, according to Isaac, they're all going to turn into Jedi. All the Inquisitors are going to turn into Jedi.
Well, Reva is still alive. The Grand Inquisitor would still be alive. And those other 2 Inquisitors would be still alive. So.
Is Inquisitor Reva in anything else? Or is this the only thing she's
she's a new character to Obi-Wan.
Cool. But yeah, I thought
but
that
it's
was
cool because like they've
Leia. So good.
I mean, it's her specifically. She has not been in anything, but like there's like obviously in Rebels and in Fallen Order we get the numbered sisters and brothers. So like the fact that she's the 3rd sister, it's a pretty cool little nod to like the system that they have, in all of the, the Grand Inquisitor and the Inquisitors and stuff like that. So yeah, it's cool. I love being introduced to new characters as well. So, I'm all down for everything this show is throwing at me at this point.
Also in episode 2, we get homeless vet clone trooper. I thought it was interesting.
Okay, so
which I thought he was going to be like, hey, clone trooper, come with me. Let's fight together. And like that's their journey.
Right. Okay, and this is probably just some random clone trooper, right? But like he's got the blue armor on.
Right, he's 501st. He's like you would think they would know Obi-Wan.
And that's the thing though, is like he's got the blue armor. Can he? I mean, this is all us being super Star Wars nerds and speculating and stuff. Can Obi-Wan tell that he's 501st, or is there other squadrons that have blue painted armor as well? And
no, Obi-Wan's a general
only they have the blue paint.
The freaking army, so like he would know the difference between all the colors. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like I thought that too initially, Zane, and then I was like. But again, like 10 years has passed since the Clone Wars. They all look the same. Obviously, they're clones. Maybe he just was like assumed that he didn't know.
I think
this
it's
guy.
just for the effect, right? Where it's like he's looking on the face of Captain Rex, right? That I mean, that's I think that's the emotional response I got. That it's this connection is like. That this was my friend. I mean, I don't know what happened to Captain Rex and Cody. I didn't watch that far, but right. But it's like that was my friend,
hey,
and then they all tried to kill me.
Mad respect. Yeah.
And you have to assume that Captain Rex would have at least recognized Obi-Wan too, as well.
But just saying, looking on the face of a friend who betrayed me. I think even just deepening that wound, feeling more of his failure. I think it just like Ewan McGregor's performance is so good. Like he really is. I love when an actor says you're going to see something different, and then they actually show us something different, as opposed to you're going to see something different. Like you are the same character. This is not different. So actually telling us that he's going to get something different, and actually seeing it and feeling it has been so good so far through the first 2 episodes.
Absolutely. So I didn't ask you guys to rate episode 2. I'm assuming that all of you across the board are 6 out of 6s, or am I?
No, 6.01 out of 6.
6.01.
This was 0.02, like 6.02.
Oh, wow! A little step up over episode 1.
I mean, we got the clone trooper. We got a little bit more, the Force coming out and some lightsabers about like they're teasing us like Max would with lightsaber battles. And then we get the Darth Vader in a bantha tank. And okay, with episode
Oh my
2,
gosh, yeah.
am I the only one that didn't think that Obi-Wan knew Darth Vader is Anakin, or like Anakin was still alive as Darth Vader?
I just assumed that he did, but why? I mean,
apparently he didn't.
How would he know? No, how would he have known?
Well, I'm saying if he's still trolling around Tatooine, working with people, you're telling me he doesn't hear? Oh, you know that Lord Vader guy. Did you hear rumors about that Lord Vader guy? Like, I'm just like 10 years.
Why would you? Everyone's terrified of the Inquisitors. Like, no one's going to talk about who the Inquisitors work for.
And this is like Tatooine is apparently Outer Rim, even though it's like Anakin's home, and literally half of Star Wars is placed on Tatooine.
Or, you know,
for some reason, Tatooine is still Outer Rim and probably not hearing a lot of news from the Empire, like central, you know, of the galaxy or what galaxies, whatever you want to call it. So I don't know, maybe I did have that thought though, Mark, because like, yeah, this guy apparently is the Lord, that Sith Lord that everybody's afraid of at this point. And they don't really, obviously we don't know a whole lot at this point. This could be just early in his reign as Darth Vader, or, you know, like, I don't know.
And this came to my head just now with Moff Gideon, when people have explained that, you know, he's probably never seen Luke Skywalker, and that, you know, that what was the final episode of season 2. So like Luke Skywalker is a total rumor, myth, legend to him. So that could, you know, but so I'm just saying, like, even that hearsay, like, you would think that, you know, just something would have, you know, come along the lines as a rumor or some story that someone's heard if he's working with people that live in anyways. But still, it was still a little shocking to me that he didn't know that Anakin was still alive.
At the point that Anakin Skywalker becomes Darth Vader, nobody really, besides the people in that room, like Palpatine and all those guys, know that he is Anakin Skywalker. So that doesn't get out. Like, he becomes a Sith Lord and he's Darth Vader.
The third sister clearly knows who Anakin and Obi-Wan are. So we're going to get some flashbacks of like why she doesn't like Obi-Wan. So
yeah.
Well, I mean, part of that too, you got to remember the last time Obi-Wan saw him was laying on the rock there, incinerated, missing arm and legs, and he left. He had no idea that the Emperor came and picked him up as soon as he left.
Sure.
So like his last sight of him was laying. So it's just like, and then 10 years later, like, he was grieving with everything that went on. He went into hiding. He probably didn't give a whole lot of thought that, you know what? I bet someone went and picked him up.
Well, but Yoda's able to communicate with him, right? Are we still believing that? So like, how does that not
communicate with Obi-Wan or with Anakin?
We would. I'm just assuming now that, you know, Yoda has the abilities, and clearly we're being teased that Qui-Gon's going to also show up as a Force ghost or something.
I'm very excited to see Liam Neeson in the series.
Yeah, and that'll be awesome.
And I hope we get some Jar Jar stuff or something. I just need it. I just need it.
Jar Jar is just still in the Senate, just chilling.
I know that there's a lot of, you know, the conversations like, oh, would Obi-Wan have known? And like, just the, like, again, like, I view content, I think, differently from you guys. Like, but just like the emotional, like that element of the story where he's shocked that his brother. Oh, yeah. And I remember Deborah Chow was talking about the series, I think in the Vanity Fair article, about how it's really like, this is really a love story between Anakin and Obi-Wan, like that, like they're best friends, they're brothers. And so if your best friend who had betrayed you thought was dead, you found out he was alive, like that is a shocking, jarring moment. Right. And so
you saw that in Ewan McGregor's face. Like that was wow, powerful. Incredible acting.
I know there's lots of like, whatever. Like that was a good enough moment for me to push those thoughts aside and just be in that moment, and then go to Hayden Christensen in the back to tank as he's getting his vasectomy. I mean, it's just perfect. See, if we keep referencing it, Max can't take out the earlier reference.
Good point.
Yeah. Or he will. It would be your guys going to sound like JAs. That's what he'll say.
Too late.
Oh man, but man, what a opening for Obi-Wan. I think we're all just extremely excited for the future of this show. And I mean, I would assume that this is like a limited series. Like you can't keep Ewan McGregor dangling on the line forever, right? Like this guy
he said that he wants to do it again, a season 2. He said that. I mean, how do you end it? Like, how do you tell a second story? But this series has got to like come to an end where
we've seen the end of it already.
Well, I mean, like, where he fights Darth Vader, right? Because, you know, he makes that comment in episode 4 about the last, all that jazz, last time seeing him.
All I'm waiting for is season 4 of Obi-Wan, when we get the live action recreation of Darth Maul and Obi-Wan showdown. That's all I'm waiting for. Same shots, everything, just live action. Perfect.
Live action. That would be sweet.
Perfect. That'd be it. Well, Scott, thank you so much for joining us in this episode of our review of Obi-Wan.
Thank you for having me. I'm sorry I don't spit hot takes like the rest of you. I'm just here to watch TV and enjoy it.
You're the guy that just is enjoying everything in life, and we love you for it, Scott.
I love you guys. I hopefully, I appreciate you. I can't wait to go to Minnesota and meet all of you at some point. But yeah, I love your guys' show. I love your Twitch streams. I love all of you. So thank you for having me.
Where can people find you on the internet,
just
Scott?
go to thechristiannerd.com or look me up on the old Twitter machine at Scott Higa.
Or break into his cameras through the dark web like I do,
Oh my.
Look, he's reading it. He's reading another X-Men comic in bed. How sexy.
Hey, it's big in Taiwan.
You want to see a half Japanese guy reading a comic book in bed while his white wife sleeps next to him?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Thanks, Max, for having me, Matt.
I'm going to put that little piece of tape over my camera just to keep you out.
Scott, we love you. Everybody go check out Scott Higa, a.k.a. The Christian Nerd. Not a Christian nerd. He's the Christian Nerd. And thank you also, Zane and Mark, for being on the show with us tonight. It has been a blast talking about our thrills and expectations of Obi-Wan.
Unfortunately, it's been such a blast, but you can't give it a 6 out of 6. It's just a 5.999 repeating, so I'm sorry you didn't have 6 out of 6
I'm
fun.
just pulling a Scott on The Mandalorian, and, somebody's got to be a critic at some point on every show, so...
You're calling yourself a critic, but you gave it a 5.9999 repeating,
incredible.
Isaac.
It's an amazing show. I don't think that's a bad score.
You're a Todd.
Actually, you know what? Like, I was thinking about it, and this is my Todd self. I give everything when I watch it like a 6 out of 6 immediately in my head. I'm like, oh, this is amazing, incredible, best show ever, 6 out of 6. And then the longer I think about it, the more it gets knocked down in my mind. So, like, I was thinking about it the other day. I don't think Spider-Man No Way Home is a 6 out of 6 to me in my head anymore.
You would make such a terrible Olympic judge.
Probably. You're probably
just
right.
atrocious.
I'm so indecisive about
Maybe like
things.
4 years later, he'll like give
that.
the same. Yeah, like no, like he can't. Like I can't change the score from 4 years ago, but I'm knocking you down 2 points for this performance because I changed my mind 4 years ago. Sorry, Oksana Bayul, you're not going to get the gold medal.
I'd be like on my Twitter profile like 10 years afterwards, like, oh man, I don't think that performance was very good. You gave it a 10 out of 10 back then. Yeah, I know. It wasn't.
Sorry, Carrie Strug. Break another leg next time.
People change. Oh gosh. Anyways, you can find the Infinity Bros at theinfinitybros.com or on any of our social media profiles, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. And you can catch us on Twitch 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. We have a blast. Scott is always there in chat, like 90% of the time.
Except for Jarrett's stream, so I feel really, really badly about.
Poor Jarrett.
I have youth group, so I can't be there. So, and so he knows that. I mean, like my students would think I was just watching another student on Twitch while I was with them, but I can't.
Maybe you should watch Jarrett's stream at youth group. Like, put it up on the big screen for everybody else to watch.
I'd like to keep my job, Isaac, so, maybe we won't do that. Mommy,
okay,
Daddy,
your choice.
We watched this dude, and he was playing Magic the Gathering. He summoned a wizard.
He was playing Dungeons and Dragons. I bet you'd get a great response from that. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Infinity Bros Universe, thank you so much for making us a part of your podcast experience. We love you 3000. Have an amazing day, weekend, night. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Infinity Bros podcast. You can find the Infinity Bros on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the Infinity Bros. Feel free to send listener feedback via email at infinitybrospodcast@gmail.com.